1992, and who you see in the picture now is Les Austin. And this is my dad, and your grandfather or great-grandfather. And so I've asked him just to sit and tell stories, and he doesn't have a script. So I want you to listen to what he has to say to you. Take it, Dad.
My name is Leslie Hugh Austin. I was born in Colquitt, Miller County, Georgia, December 31st, 1919, to parents who were sharecroppers, and were sharecroppers all of our life. We were very rural, a very poor section of Georgia that has not spawned anybody of any note since my memory. The town was named after John C. Colquitt, and please note that that's Colquitt, not Colquitt. And it still is essentially the same size today in 1992 as it was when I was a youngster. We were farm people, and my memories of childhood was that of a Depression child. And we, of course, had very little money, as did most people in those days. And the food was all grown on the farm, for the most part, and the entertainment was certainly provided by the old swimming hole down in the creek that ran behind our property. There were initially 12 of us in the family. 4 died either in infancy or at birth. 8 of us lived. There are 6 of us still living, having lost the oldest brother last year in 1991, and a sister some years ago, the only sister.
Where were you born in your family? What number child?
I was about midways. There were 3. There was 1, 2, 3, 4 above me and 3 after me.
Okay.
So I was exactly midways in the family.
All right.
And as such, I got beat upon by the ones that were older and also the ones that were younger. I never did win many of those battles as children. I graduated from Miller County High School in 1937. Was not, to my mind, a particularly good student, although in subsequent years of high school reunions, they remember me as one of the better students in the school. My one love and my one habit, which I retain to this day, is that of reading. And I gained the reputation of being the only student ever to come through Miller County High School who read every book in the library. Shakespeare, biographies, history, novels, you name it, I read it. And at the age of 17, when I graduated from high school, which was an 11-year school system at that time, it's subsequently been changed to a 12-year school system now. I graduated in the spring of '37, and in the fall I joined the CCC's, the Civilian Conservation Corps, which was a Franklin Roosevelt program to not only to get the youngsters into employability, but also to provide money to the families back home. And I stayed there 2 years.
Dad, before you get into your CCC work, tell them something of the flavor of your family. And the story that I remember in particular that you've told me several times is the time that you and your brothers were out and shooting Roman candles at one another.
Well,
Tell that story.
we had our fireworks at Christmas time, not the 4th of July, which is customary now. And at that time, fireworks were legal everywhere, and so they're very plentiful. And we had one old mongrel dog that tried to take up at the house, and Lord knows Papa didn't need another mouth to feed, but he was proved to be hard to run off. So what I did, I took a sparkler about so long, and I tied it to the end of his tail. Now I tied it so that when the sparkler burnt down to the end, it wouldn't burn him. He wasn't hurt. But I sweet-talked him to come up to me, and I tied that sparkler to his tail and lit it. This was at night now. And the last we saw of that dog going down the road was that sparkler disappearing into the dark distance, and we never saw that dog again.
We're not cruel to animals here. You understand that. We're not cruel.
I wouldn't do that today.
No.
But for toys, when we were small children, we had, there's a small hook on a wagon wheel that goes on the hub of the wheel. Then there's the big outside rim, which is also metal. And we would take these hooks, and there was a little stick. We'd put a crossbar on the stick, and we would roll this all around. And this were our toys. There was no money to buy toys with, and you couldn't go anywhere. Transportation was non-existent except for mule and wagon, and you didn't go too far in that. We finally did get a car, and we were able to visit our relatives over in South Alabama, Clay-Hatchie, which is beyond Dothan, where my mother and father sprang from and emigrated from into southwest Georgia. But we had, in the main, we had a happy childhood. It makes your mother mad when I say that I never owned a pair of shoes until I entered high school. And this depressed her. That money was so scarce that we were not able to buy shoes in the wintertime. But the winters were mild.
Would you relate the story of being shot by a Roman candle?
Well, again, around Christmas time, and I was up in a tree, and I was sitting on the limb, and one of my younger brothers had a Roman candle, and to make those things go, you have to keep going round and round with them like that, you know. And he just aimed the dumb thing up the tree on the limb I was sitting on, and it hit me right square in the fanny. And the things burned.
Yes.
They burned. Not something you would like to have happen.
Well.
But it did happen. I got shot with a BB gun in the same circumstance.
Now you're out of high school, and you're moving on to the CCs.
CCCs, that's the Civilian Conservation Corps. And we were sent from Colquitt to Albany, and we worked at Chehaw State Park, which even to this day is still used and in existence, as are many of the locations that the CCC youngsters built back in those days. Primarily, I suppose, the Skyline Parkway here in the North Georgia mountains. But from there I was sent to Jessup, Georgia, and then to Homerville near Waycross, where we worked down in the Okefenokee Swamp. We had a good time. It served to get us away from home. It gave us a structured environment to finish growing up in, and we were all very muchly improved by that experience in the CCCs. And many of those men that were in that, it was not a welfare project by any means, but they went on to become our nation's leaders and the movers and shakers in the communities in which they came from.